Kumna Abla Gemara, Daf Chav Tes. This is Tuesday's Gemara, Daled Nissen. Says the Mishnah. Shloisha Achin, 3 brothers. Shnayim Nesuyim Shtei Achayos. 3 brothers. The Reuben and Shimon are married to 2 sisters. The Echem Mufna, the 3rd brother Levi, is a bachar, is a bachelor. And now, Meis Echem Nebali Achayos. So Reuben and Shimon are married to 2 sisters. If let's say Reuben dies, also moved the mind. There came along Levi and he gave her kedushin. He was thinking of marrying her, so he gave her a ring, which we said before is only with the rabbanon. That's what we understood. But suddenly Shimon died. Now he's ended up. He has one sister that he already gave kedushin to. Now there's a remaining sister. What happens here? Because he cannot marry Achayos Kukasei. Cannot marry the sister of one who's tied of one who's tied to you. Is Beishamai says Ishta Imai, he remains married to Reuben's wife. Then Shimon's wife is totally exempt. Sounds like, and most of Shayim learn that Beishamai holds that this idea of giving a mimer is mahatayra, no different than an ordinary woman. You give her a ring, she's engaged to you mahatayra. Same thing over here, is engaged to you mahatayra. And Beis Hillel says Moitziz Ishta beget. Beis Hillel says that no, you have to give her a get. And the whole thing is only with the rabbanon, so go through the process. Give her a get, uve chalitza, and you give her a chalitza. You cannot marry her anymore because once you give her a get, you're severing your ties. You give her a chalitza. The H is achi bechalitzas, and the wife of the brother also you give her a chalitza because in a way it's like the sister of one you were sort of married to with rabbanon. So we don't want you to do that, and as we'll see. Zui Shamra, we say woe is to his wife. And woe is to the brother's wife. In other words, she's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate circumstance, but there's nothing we can do about it. Says the Gemara, first of all, Zuhi lemute mai. It says over here, this is the case of woe is to the woman. What's this case talking about? Lemute hacht Rabbi Yeshua d'layavdina kabasa. We don't follow Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua says it's talking about a case where Reuben and Shimon both married to a sister. Reuben was married to a girl who was an adult. Shimon was married to a girl who was a minor. And then Reuben died. Now, what happened to Reuben's wife? She, at the moment, Shimon is married to her sister, Midrabanan, and she can always walk out. And Rabbi Shua says, well, too bad, she's stuck. Reuben's wife, we don't force anything to Shimon's wife. Reuben's wife is stuck. It's not fair. It's not her fault. But that's if he says, woe to the woman. What can you do? The other 2 opinions there is whether we encourage the girl to be mamayin, to walk out of it, so unravels the whole thing, or we give the girl a choice. And if she wants to say me and then unravels it, then the only woman here is involved is Reuven. And according to, or if she says, I want to stay married, and you have to wait until she's bas mitzvah, turns into a real marriage, and then Reuven's wife just walks out free because the sister of his wife. So we to exclude Rabbi Yeshua, the Le'avdini Kavasi, we don't follow Rabbi Yeshua. We follow 2 other opinions of Rabbi Lezer, where we either encourage the girl, or if she takes it, walks away, then it unravels the whole thing, and Reuven's wife is free. Rabbi says, don't think that Maimer Beishamai Kenya Kinigama. Don't think according to Beishamai that if you give a Maimer, that's it. That is mamish like a kedushin is engaged completely. That's how you understand it. That's why Shimon dies and Shimon's wife is does not have to cannot marry because the sister of a wife, and she's totally exempt. Don't think that. So therefore, you're going to think, let's say later on it doesn't work out with Reuben's wife. If Levi doesn't work out, he just has to give her a get because it's totally his wife, and she doesn't need any more chalitza. It's not correct. You know how far Maimer goes to Beishamai? All it achieves is that Shimon's wife now is no longer tied to Levi because of what he did with Reuben's wife, and she walks free. But as far as Reuben's wife is concerned, there's still another step that has to happen before they're considered man and wife. And therefore, if this doesn't work out and he gives her a get, he has to give her a get, he still has to give her chalitza. It says in our Mishnah here, before Beishamai said, if they didn't listen, they can stay married. 2 brothers and 2 sisters, they can stay married. It sounds like only if they did it. But they shouldn't go ahead and 2 brothers married 2 sisters. Now, 2 Yevamos. Now, if you can tell me that Maimer works, why talk about a case if it happened? I have a better idea. I have a great suggestion. That is as follows. Why doesn't Levi go ahead and give one of the sisters a Maimer, and the other one goes ahead and gives the other sister a Maimer? And there's no Isser giving a Maimer. You're not allowed to have a Bia with Achayos Kukasa, but all you're doing is giving Kedushin. But as soon as you give Kedushin, according to Beishamai, it's totally your wife. So here's a solution where you can go ahead and both of them get married without having to say, if they happen, it's all right. And what would happen as follows: that you would go to one of the, you give her a Maimer to one of them, And then the other one, let's say both of them fall to you. If it's only Levi, both of them fall to you. So the other one automatically is scot-free. It's no longer achos kukasa because and therefore you can marry this woman. You can marry Reuven's wife. Shimon's wife is totally free, and you go ahead with Reuven's wife. Is a proof that Maimah is not that strong. Tomorrow goes back. You're so what do you want to say? So what do you want for argument's sake? You want to say, you're saying, okay, Maimah doesn't do all that, doesn't make it completely a wife in other respects, but it pushes away the Torah completely. So that's why now Mishnah over here, B'Shamai says he made a Maimah, the other woman goes scot-free, you don't have to do anything. So let me ask a question. So you can still go ahead, and your question is a valid question, even according to your opinion, where Maimer isn't strong, but all it does is it rejects the Torah. In the case of the two brothers, let each one make a Maimer, and it pushes away the other woman as if she's non-existent, so they can marry the woman that's remaining. Same question. What are you going to tell me? Your answer can be very simple. When do we say that Maimer is effective? You had the right to marry this woman, and therefore, if he gave a Maimer, for example, Reuben died. At that point, she was the only woman available, so you gave her a Maimer. You could have married if you wanted. You gave her a Maimer, so the Maimer takes on the halachic, the legality of a marriage. But the Yisur L'Dachi, if both sisters are standing before you, if you give one of them a Maimer, since you couldn't marry either of them right now, it's not even potential, so therefore the Maimer is a weak Maimer. That's why even if you want to argue that Maimer is mamish a full kinyan, Maimer the hateda kani, only a Maimer that's permitted. You could have married and then you give Maimer. Or the Yisur L'Dachi doesn't work. Ravashi, Masna Hachi. Ravashi, I will learn differently. Ravashi says the same idea, but a little bit different. Ravashi, but don't say don't say according to Bishamai that Maimer completely rejects the other tzara, the tzara chalitza nami boy. And how did you understand the Mishnah over here? He said if he gave a Maimer to Reuven's wife, and then Shimon dies, Shimon's wife doesn't need anything at all. In other words, the Maimer is that strong, even as far, and you said before, it's limited only to the co-wife. But how far does it go to the co-wife? That she now is considered the sister of a wife, and therefore she's completely free, and she can walk away even without chalitza. Don't go that way. It pushes away that she's no longer preventing Levi from marrying Reuven's wife, but she would still need some kind of chalitza, something to sever her ties. I'll prove it to you. Bishami says that if the brothers ended up marrying, Reuven and Shimon were married to sisters and they died, and then Levi Yehuda, if the brothers ended up marrying these two sisters, if they did, they can already stay married. In other words, you have no solution how to do it from the outside. I'm asking you questions. If you can tell me that if you can tell me, Bishami says if you give a Maimer, it pushes the other sister away. So why don't you suggest to these people, give a Maimer, which you're allowed to, because no way to do that, even though it's a sister, you're just giving kedushin, but that will push away the other sister, and therefore you get married to Reuven's wife, because there is no other sister here. By giving her a Maimer, you completely rejected the other woman, the other sister. Is Yasa Maimer, let the lady go ahead and give a Maimer to Reuven's wife and pushes away Shimon's wife. Is Yasa Maimer the Hoktoni B'Shamai says Ishta Imai. B'Shamai says that the wife was with him and the other one is completely free. Ella, so what's pshat? So he said, Yevamos the Chazil the Kula Chazil Miktsasa. Or Yevamos. Really, it pushes away completely the other wife. I said, in the case of two brothers and two sisters, why don't you just recommend each one to give a Maimer and push away the other one? Very simple, same thing before. When does a Maimer have the ability to turn into a full-blown kedusha as far as pushing away the other one completely? Is only if it's a Maimer of heter. Like over here, first Reuven died and he gave her a Maimer. At that time, he wanted, could have married her, so therefore it has the full power to reject her completely. But in the case of there were two brothers and both of them died, and now they fell before Levi and Yehuda, neither of them could have married either of them. So therefore it doesn't have the power to push the other one away. And that's why only with the evidence if they married, then it's all right. So the Gemara, if it could have turned into full-blown marriage, then the Maimer is powerful. That's not suitable, cannot turn into full marriage, is not worthy even to push all the way. But that's a very simple question. Okay, Maimer B'Shamai. B'Shamai says that Maimer is very powerful. But let me ask you a question. How powerful is it? You gave her a ring. Do we say by what comes to Yibum different than an ordinary woman that now they totally, it's as if you're consummated your marriage, you're totally married, husband and wife? Or it's no different than any other woman. All it is, you got engaged, but Mahatayra. What's the difference? What's in their engaged or the married? Whether he inherits her, she dies, just by giving her a mimer, or if he's a kohen, if he goes ahead and becomes tamid to her, does have the power to annul her vows. No, is he married or is he just merely engaged? Well, an ordinary woman that you gave her an engagement ring. The Rabbi says, if your wife is only engaged to you, if she dies, you don't become an einin for her. If you're kohen, you don't go to the cemetery. Likewise she. She doesn't have to be an einin for him. She doesn't become tummy. Now, even though there's no isa for even if she's a kohen, a bas kohen, isa become tummy. The Rashi says we're talking about maybe Yom Tov. And on Yom Tov, everyone has to be toy to go to mikveh. And in this case, if she died, and if she died, he doesn't yashner meshu. If he died, goivik suvasa, she can collect the ksuba. In other words, not by an ordinary wife, you're engaged, yet you're not really tied in all these other respects. So let me ask a question. So he asked his teacher, if he just gave her a ring, when the Torah said he should really have marital relations, you're asking me whether he can annul her nadarim. So the Gemara said, no, so Rabbi explained himself. Elo, you know what I mean? Do you have to give over to a chuppah or not? In other words, what happens if he, instead of having a chuppah, he bypassed the chuppah, he just had marital relations with her? Is he koiner or not? And if he divorces her, what do you call it? And does he have to give her a get, maybe, if he forced her when he shouldn't have? So Gemara said this. Do we say Nesuyin that when he gave her kedusha as if they got married already? So you don't have to go through the whole process of a chuppah. Or maybe all you achieved was engaged like an ordinary woman, and you need chuppah as well. You still have to go through the chuppah business, and it has to be consensual and so on. He said, I don't understand. You want by giving a ring now he needs it to be consensual. If let's say he never gave her a ring, we learned before. Ksibit says he can go ahead and have relations against the will. If you gave her a ring, suddenly you're asking whether he can do whether of course it has to be consensual. Of course not. Why should it be any worse, any different? Imagine the ring he never gave her a ring. So Rabbi said, no. By giving a ring, you made things worse. How? You elected to follow a certain process. And therefore you gave up some of your rights, maybe. I could argue, if you gave her a ring, you lost the rights of a yibum, which is you can do it by coercion. And the chol olav zikeris, and now you're like any other husband and wife, and you follow the process, and you need a chuppah. Mike, what's the deal? Toshma coming here, it says, I'm a woman in waiting. I don't care whether it's one future brother-in-law, two future brother-in-law. She's already bound up the zika, and either brother has a right to annul the nadar. No, but as if they're married already. Rabbi Yeshua says, there's only one brother, and definitely you're bound to him. He can annul your nadarim. But if there are two brothers, you don't know which one she'll end up with, so neither of them can annul it. Rabbi Kiva says, I don't believe in the whole concept of zika. We already talked about this before. I don't care how many brothers. There's no zika. Nobody can annul her nadarim. Avina, when we asked, I understand Rabbi Kiva. There's no bond. You cannot annul the Dorim. Not feel l'chad, even if there's only one surviving brother. The Rabbi Shua also understand. L'chad Yezikal to Ezekiel. There's only one brother. Obviously, she's going to marry him. There's Yibum, so therefore there's a bond. Two brothers. I don't know which one she'll end up with. There's no bond. I understand. Rabbi Lezer, who says I want that there's a bond, and he says that either brother can annul the Dorim. I don't. What do you mean either brother? How? Nehidi Kasavi Ezekiel. True, he holds there's a bond. Rabbi Shleim l'chad meifet. One of them he can annul. Ella today, why can he know two? We're talking about going to other b'maimer. So what right? It must be talked about that one of the brothers did a maimer ubeishamai, and this follows the view of beishamai that a maimer is very strong. It solidifies your relationship. A maimer kind of kinyu gomer. That a maimer does a kinyu gomer, and that is why you can annul the nadar. Right now, you're asking Rabbi whether a maimer makes it like a full-blown marriage or just an eris. So let me ask like this. Let's understand Rabbi Lezer. If you can tell me that a maimer makes as if they're fully married, okay. A husband, any nadorim that a wife makes that impacts on their relationship, he can annul. If you can tell me that all it does is engagement, since we learned before that a husband, when the wife's engaged, you cannot annul the Dorim. How can you know the Dorim? But now we learn, if a girl is merely engaged, then it's jointly the father who still has rights over her and the future husband, if this is going to impact on their relationship, they need to do jointly. So how could Rabbi Lezer say that the brother-in-law who gave the maimer can annul the Dorim? Obviously, it means that they're fully married. No, maybe my mefer. You know what means annulling mefer b'shutfus? Who said that when he said that he can annul the future brother can annul means on his own, make solo, maybe together with the father. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Lezer on top of the page said that all they can do is Rabbi Oven as well, who said that Rabbi Lezer will say that what? That all it does is it doesn't consummate in any way the relationship. All it does is it pushes away, it rejects, it pushes away the sister, and therefore she's out of the equation, she's free. And my mefer b'shutfus, they're not even really tied together. So why takik the husband and no adorim? They're not really tied. All it does is it has an impact on the sister that she's no longer part of the equation. But there's no real tie yet when I'm married. So why couldn't you know the adorim, even jointly with the father? When I said that you're not, a maimah doesn't make a full relationship, what I meant was, and only to push away the sister, what I meant was the leisagi lo begita, that you should know that is, if you make a maimah in the Yevamos, and I'm trying to tell you, it's not a full-blown marriage, so therefore, if 2 months later doesn't work out, just give her a divorce, she's free. If you give a divorce, then before you finalize the marriage, you have to give her chalitza as well. And I meant it pushes away the other one, but as far as you and her are concerned, you still need a chalitza. That's what I meant. But at the moment, until you don't get along, you have rights over her, and you can annul the darim. I'm a chalitza. I never discussed about being made for the Nadarim, and therefore perhaps you could be made for the Nadarim. You can annul the Nadarim jointly with the husband, the father. Or you say another version is it any better the one who says that you gave her a maimah? Kitani, does it say yifru? And Nachmitra said it means jointly, the father and the husband. Then why doesn't it say in plural? It should have said yifru, that they annul. Yafrik Tani, it says he can annul. You know, we're talking about a different case altogether, according to everybody. You know why Rabbi Lezer says that you can, the future brother-in-law, even though they're two, they can annul the neder? It's talking about a case of the bedin. None of the brother-in-law wanted to marry. So she took them to Din Torah. She says, look, I need something. I want somebody to marry me and take care of me. So when they went to Din Torah, until they make up their mind, and the Bezin decided that what this particular brother has to start taking care of her and feeding her and so on and so forth. The din is what happened was the brother-in-law ran away. He didn't want to marry her, so he just fled. So the Bezin intervenes and they take from his assets and they take and provide for her until something happens. And therefore, so now in this case, as if the Bezin foisted upon this brother-in-law that he has all the relations of a husband and wife. And therefore, when she makes a darim, since he's the one who's providing for her, it's as if the darim she made was, if he agrees, because it impacts on their relationship, and that's why he could annul the nadarim. So I still remain that Maimer is strong, but in certain respects and not in other respects. But he could annul the nadarim and pushed away the sister-in-law. That's according to Beis Shammai. Okay, we'll stop over here.